When pronouncing the name General Motors, it's associated with the automobile company, but millions of people died because of this corporation. It's involved in two large-scale environmental disasters, the consequences of which we feel today. You don't build an empire just by selling people cars and telling the truth, and we'll tell you. In 1904, a millionaire buys Buick, which was on the verge of bankruptcy. Thanks to his previous experience in business, he quickly makes it the largest car company in the USA. However, this wasn't enough. And then, a man of genius came up with the concept of the car market, which we still use today. There should be an individual car model for each consumer, so create. This is how General Motors was created. A company that never produces cars, but owns the entire market, and about which everybody says, what's good for GM is good for America. This genius millionaire's name was William Durant. Only one detail worried him. At that time, electric cars dominated the roads due to their simplicity. Imagine a Tesla Model 3 in the 20th century. They were easy to drive, no need to switch gears, start the car manually. You just need to press the button and drive off. Therefore, they were popular among wealthy people, especially women. Why? Only rich people could afford such a car. A Ford Model T cost less than $500, while an electric car cost $2,500. Famous fans included Thomas Edison. What went wrong? The First World War caused a significant increase in the price of copper, which greatly increased the cost of electricity. But these circumstances didn't lead to the death of the electric car. It was a bit more. I would even say something really huge. A girl drives a car over a bridge in Detroit. Suddenly, her car stalls. The driver behind stops to help. As you already know, the car had to be started manually. The man turns the starter and the engine starts. However, very suddenly, he doesn't have time to jump back, and the starter handle hits him in the face and breaks his jaw. He later dies from these injuries. Furthermore, he was a friend of the founder of the Cadillac Company. Due to the loss of his friend, he decided to rid cars of crooked starters forever. Charles Kettering was connected to the case at that time. He is the inventor who created the cash register. Now, he is considered the most outstanding scientist in America. He has 187 patented inventions to his credit. If he can realize this, then there will be no need for an electric car. And what does this genius Durant do? General Motors buys Cadillac for $4.5 million in order not to lose a unique opportunity. He was guided by one goal: to control the auto market. Due to this, Durant invested all the profits in new companies. The top management didn't like this, and William was kicked out of the company. You need to learn a lesson. Don't be afraid to make a mistake, but don't forget to make sure you don't make the same mistake again. Since Mr. Durant was a hell of an adventurous and gambling businessman, he started working on creating a new car. William was familiar with the Buick driver, Louis Chevrolet. As you might have guessed, together, they created the Chevrolet Motor Company. However, immediately after the release of the first car, controversy began. Louis wanted to build racing cars for the company, and William insisted on creating cars for the masses. They never reached an agreement. During Mr. Chevrolet's trip to Europe, William came up with an evil plan. He rebuilt the company for the production of low-budget cars. This made Louis very upset after his returning. He realized that his influence in the company was disappearing and made the biggest mistake of his life. He sold his part in the company. Mr. Chevrolet could become one of the richest men in America, but unfortunately, he died in poverty. This move made William Durant the sole owner of Chevrolet Motor. The success of the company was incredible. In all of American industrial history, there has never been anything quite like the rise of Chevrolet. Now, William had a new plan: to reclaim GM. He succeeded. However, another secret company was involved: DuPont. Together, they almost achieved the goal of taking over the entire car market. In 1920, GM was on the verge of collapse. Guess what went wrong? Durant created a large and volatile monopoly. Therefore, he is expelled from his own company for the second time. I like his adventurousness, but without error analysis, you will be replaced by new people. And DuPont begins to manage the company. It's important for them to get GM out of the crisis, as they have worked closely together. That's why Kettering is called to help. Why this time? Kettering invented the electric starter. This invention finally pushed the electric car out of the market, so the demand for gasoline cars increased significantly. But a new problem appeared. At high compression, gasoline exploded. Because of this, the engine was knocking, and the car was very uncomfortable. This made it much more difficult to get out of the crisis. DuPont wanted Kettering to solve this problem, and there was another important condition. The invention must be patented in order to earn a lot of money. Mr. Kettering said, "No problem, bro," and set to work. He hired an assistant, Thomas Muggle. They combined gasoline with almost every substance that you can imagine, from iodine to melted butter. And only one substance made the car more powerful: lead. General Motors, Standard Oil, and DuPont created the ethyl company. It begins to produce fuel with lead. Why ethyl? Because no one mentioned lead in the composition. Everyone knew it was dangerous. As with all evil companies, they followed the standard rules. Marketing that instills trust in them. And the tetraethyl lead research being done by the Ethyl Corporation and General Motors laboratories and scientists. Good old methods. According to estimates, they earned more than $200 million. That currently equates to $3 billion in today's money. To prove to the public that the compound is safe, Muggle washed his hands in tetraethyl lead at a press conference. "There's no way I'm taking any chances, and I do it every day," said Muggle, who recently spent several months in Florida being treated for lead poisoning. And what do we have now? Human IQ has significantly decreased. The level of crime is increasing in the world. People have become dumber. Among children, there is a slowing down of the brain. I found out another conspiracy between GM and Standard Oil that may be controversial, but the story makes sense. They destroyed electric transport, which was used by 9 out of 10 Americans. Trams were replaced by diesel buses. Let's take a look at life in the 1950s. Motorways seemed to be a magical technology that would bring freedom to everyone. An interesting thesis was, it's difficult to say who came up with this plan, but we know for sure that the 2 biggest companies in America made billions from it. It's now becoming clear that the 2020s will be the decade when electric cars become mainstream. But did you know that the electric car revolution happened much earlier? In the mid-1990s, GM released the EV1 electric car, a massive hit, high speed, high tech. So GM, a reliable brand in the automotive industry, was on board. However, suddenly this great product disappears, and GM takes their cars from customers and simply destroys them. GM has destroyed all electric cars and our hope for clean air. Although that means nothing to a company that almost killed all of humanity. After everything you know now, you will complete all the puzzles. How GM almost killed all humanity. In the 1920s, people actively moved to cities and there was a need to store food. Refrigerators at that time were feared because the coolants were toxic. GM wanted to solve this problem and make billions accordingly. When GM has problems, they turn to Kettering. He replied, "No problem, bro," and called Muggle. "Midge, the fridges need new refrigerant." Without thinking, Thomas got down to work and solved this problem. The substance was called freon. Since it's non-toxic, it eliminates the danger associated with leaks from the refrigerator. In just a few years, refrigerators with freon would become a standard for all kitchens. To prove the safety of the product, guess what Muggle did? He inhaled the substance and blew out the candle. Great solution. However, not everything is so clear-cut. You certainly know about the great ozone hole. As it turned out, freon contributes to global warming and the destruction of the ozone layer. Because of refrigerators, we could die out in a matter of minutes. That is, our planet would turn into Mars. And we suffered for the second time from Mr. Muggle's invention. To overcome this large-scale problem, all UN countries signed an agreement to ban freon. Since 2000, the production of this substance has completely stopped. Muggle went down in history as an evil genius who caused the greatest damage to mankind in our history. But no one says that he was a simple employee. Who was the CEO of Ethyl? Kettering. He received income from the sale of ethyl gasoline, but even he didn't benefit the most. GM produced refrigerators with 2 other companies, Frigidaire and, you guessed it, DuPont. And it was DuPont that always won in all General Motors disasters. Under their leadership, GM was able to become so powerful that it overtook Ford. Was GM fined? Of course not. This is a company that serves national interests. And what happened when they were on the verge of bankruptcy? The United States co-financed the company and saved it, arguing that it affects the economy and jobs. Just think, they financed a company that killed ecology and all its alternatives. DuPont didn't stop there and poisoned 99% of people on Earth, especially me and you. How did they implement it? Click on the video and find out more.